Copyright disclaimer. Under Title 17 U.S.C. Section 107, allowance is made for fair use for purposes such as criticism, comment, news reporting, teaching, scholarship, and research. Fair use is permitted by copyright statute that might otherwise be infringing. Nonprofit, educational, or personal use tips the balance in favor of fair use. Okay. This article is from The Sun. So if any of you guys live in that area, please subscribe to them if you feel the need. So this is Serge Del Mar. And if there are any too sexually explicit words in here, I am not going to read them. It was utter hell. Ex-Scientology member sexually abused and sent to prison camps with pedos aged just 12. Serge Gill, whose allegations are being investigated by police, says he was abused by 6 figures in Scientology. Published March 28, 2019. A former Scientologist has claimed he was sexually abused in the church from the age of 12, forced to interrogate adults on their sick perversions, and sent to a prison camp with unknown pedophiles during a horror childhood in the controversial religion. Or were those pedophiles known? Oh, they were known. It comes after Sun Online revealed police in Florida were investigating his claims of child abuse. Serge Gill claimed he was molested for a total of 6 years when he was in the Sea Org. And what did the management do? Nothing. Serge claims how he was sexually abused by a total of 6 adult men from the age of 12, being regularly molested and even forced to give blank sex in a legal declaration given to Clearwater Police Department detectives last week. Now Serge has spoken out for the first time about the sickening abuse and evil practices he had to endure. Sun Online has spoken to another 5 former members of Scientology who made their own allegations, including how they were forced to undergo sexually explicit confessionals about RAPE and the M word as children. One, Brendan Teig, now 38, says he was made to undergo sexually explicit audits from age 10, and Christy Gordon, now 52, said she was blamed when 45-year-old men tried to get into her bed when she was a child. And she was, I think they call it out 2D, and she's being molested and she gets blamed. Serge, 40, alleges he was first molested by a recruiter. Keep this in mind, you guys. Pay very, very close attention. By a recruiter for Scientology's elite Sea Org, a paramilitary religious order, and according to founder L. Ron Hubbard, the best of humanity. Serge had only just arrived at Scientology headquarters Flag in Clearwater, Florida, with his family from Mexico, and claims he was so intimidated by his abuser and too embarrassed to tell his parents that he kept the alleged abuse secret. Serge's allegations currently being investigated by police. Over the next several years, Serge would sign a billion-year contract of employment. You know, employment at the church. And his parents would pay over $40,000 for him to train to become an auditor. Whereas a minor, he claims he would interrogate other Scientologists about their darkest secrets and sexual perversions while they were strapped to the religion's notorious e-meter similar to a lie detector. They sure do drop that religion word in there a lot, don't they? He says he was taught not to react when his subjects confessed to some of the sickest crimes imaginable including pedophilia, rape, and bestiality, and even acted out their warped fantasies on him and just calmly write all his findings down in reports for his supervisors. Names, 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 names. Eventually, Serge was sent to what he labels a Scientology prison camp, the Rehabilitation Project Force, for a minor violation of the religion's complicated rules, where he claims he suffered the worst abuse. He claims he was forced to share a bedroom with a known pedophile, a 32-year-old Sea Org member who had been sent to the RPF as a punishment for molesting a teenage girl. Serge left Scientology when he was an adult. The Church of Scientology dismissed the claims as a disgusting false allegation. Deny, deny, deny. I'll bet they have plenty of paperwork to prove that they did in fact know. Serge, an artist from Los Angeles, says he's decided to finally speak out because he wants police to investigate. We were shut off from the world by Scientology executives. We were shut off from the world by Scientology executives who oversaw this abuse, who took part in it. When these crimes were revealed, I was never in a position to talk to the police and felt unable to talk to the police. You guys all know why that is. Serge claims he felt so brainwashed by the religion, he didn't realize what was happening to him was child abuse until years later. The 40-year-old, who is openly gay, claims he suffered one harrowing incident at age 15, when he says he felt driven to the edge following bullying over his sexuality and attempted to commit suicide by trying to jump from a building. Lots of one-eye symbolism in this one. The Sea Org is a religious order where members sign billion-year contracts. Those pictured were not involved in the allegations. 2 days after the attempted suicide, a senior member of Scientology, aged approximately 50, 2 days after the attempted suicide, a senior member of Scientology, aged approximately 50, summoned him to a fifth-floor room at the Fort Harrison Hotel, Clearwater. Hold on, guys. I'm going to go right back to that. I'm trying to find the date. I thought the year was 2009 or something. Just to get perspective. Listen to what happened, this poor kid. He threw me down on the floor and said, "What is it going to take to stop you being gay? Do I need to F you?" he says. Oh my God. Then he blank HUMPED me while my head was to the floor and he had my mouth covered with his hand. He told me, oh, so this guy was really sick. He was degrading him as well as doing all this. He told me, you are a FAG and you need to knock it off. He was strong, forceful, and stank of cigarettes. By this time, Serge claims he had come to expect sexual and verbal abuse. At age 12, he had been trained to be a ruthless interrogator, an auditor, where he claims he would listen to the vile confessions of adult Scientologists and sit emotionless while they acted out their perversions on him. That's disassociation right there. Serge showed Sun Online commendation letters from his superiors congratulating him on his great work. Serge made an official legal declaration about his allegations, which he has passed to police. He also shared what he claims are official Scientology confessional and security check question lists, which he says he had to use, which include questions such as, have you ever seduced a minor? Have you ever done something sexually perverted with children? And have you ever had intercourse with a member of your family? You guys know where those questions stem. I'm not even going to go there today. L. Ron Hubbard said that your secrets are the things that are keeping you from being happy. So these auditing sessions were designed to find out people's deepest, darkest secrets and perversions, he said, also used for blackmail. Oh, this is so sad. I was so young, I didn't even know what some of these things were. As part of my training, I was given an earpiece, and my case supervisor, listen to this. As part of my training, I was given an earpiece, and my case supervisor, who was an adult, would be on there guiding me, saying, ask him about M word, ask him about R word. Don't let the subject misdirect you. Wonder if that's Debbie Cook. I don't know. The aim would be to have a floating needle on the e-meter. So if that didn't happen, I'd say, look, it's very important you come clean with us. We need to know, oh, wow. We need to know what your perversions are. Anything you keep secret is going to stop you from becoming spiritually free. Take a look at your life and let's find out what you're not saying, because the meter doesn't lie. That's to get blackmail material. More former Scientologists speak out. Sun Online spoke to several former members of Scientology who made their own claims. Brendan Ty, 38, former Sea Org member. When I worked for security at Flag, in the section where all the celebrities would come in to take their advanced levels in Scientology, I would have to write a daily report based on information we received from course supervisors. By the way, a lot of them are children. Auditors, all members of staff, to David Miscavige's personal organization. It was called a report line. But we were told to write reports in an internationally confusing, cloudy style, and we were instructed about which words were okay to use. So lots of abbreviations and confusing terminology. For example, child abuse would be referred to as out 2D to the extreme. We all know why they're doing that, is so that nothing is legally implicated. I guess they need video recordings of the children being SA'd or RAPED, and they probably still wouldn't help them. Personally, I was also audited and asked explicit questions about sex, things like the M word, from the age of 10 years old. I didn't even know what these things were at the time. Then there'd be touch assists, where older members of the Sea Org would touch you as a minor all over your body. Grooming, boundaries. There were also numerous incidents where, as a minor, I'd be hit on by the adults I was living with. People in their 30s, 40s, and 50s. It was so common you'd just shrug it off. See, it's all over the place. Sick. Christy Gordon, 52, another former Sea Org member, said I was sent to the RPF when I was 12 and when I was 15, and it was essentially a prison where we would do manual labor from morning until night. I had unwanted sexual advances, a lot from the ages of 12 to 18. Lots of hands on me and things I had to fight off. Yeah, from the old, probably, I imagine a lot of the older adults too. But it also goes within the minors as well, I'm sure. There'd be men 45 years old trying to get into my bed and trying to take my clothes off. I was pushed against the walls and stuff like that. I'd report them, but it didn't matter because to Scientologists, age is just a consideration, and they believe that if you pulled something in, then you did something to pull it to you. So it was kind of victim blaming. See, she reported it. All those people, the executives and all that, they knew exactly what was going on. Police know what's going on, and nobody's doing an effing thing about it. FBI ain't doing anything. The Clearwater Police ain't doing anything. LAPD ain't doing anything. They need to take notes from Senator Xenophone from Australia. If you got upset about it, it's your fault. You're told you need to get your confront up so you can handle these things. Really great excuse for essaying minors, huh? If as a kid you attracted too much sexual attention from adults, they would accuse you of being 2D flowing, which meant you were putting out sexual flows to people, and they blame you for that, not the old man. It's disgusting. I think maybe we need to send our warriors in there. Clean house. Male victim who was asked to be kept anonymous. I started delivering Scientology audits to adults at about 13 or 14, and that was where I had to ask people questions about their darkest secrets, especially sexual. You had to get every single little detail. Well, yeah, you need the detail because you can't blackmail people as well if you don't have the detail. You guys think that it's any coincidence that the FBI doesn't do anything? If they had committed the M word, I had to ask them when, where, what they were thinking about. It created a tremendous negative effect on me as a 14-year-old boy. I remember auditing an older man who was married with a family, and when I asked him about his thoughts, he eventually confessed, "I'm thinking about effing you." He didn't want to say it, and I didn't want to hear it, but I had to get the answer. It really messes you up. Sick. So I'd get people to confess to all these horrendous things like pedophilia, R-word, bestiality, financial irregularities, tax evasion. FBI! I remember men telling me I'm sexually molesting my daughter. Not like they do anything about it. In fact, I'm starting to think they invite them in. As long as they got a wallet. When a person confessed to pedophilia, Serge said they were usually removed from the Clearwater facility. Hear that, Clearwater Police? And given an ethics program to complete at their local Scientology organizations. Because you know that helps, right? It was very common to be touched inappropriately or abused during these audits. It was called re-stimulation. It was seen as part of the cleansing process, he said. It's going on right now, by the way. Right now, as we read this, right now as we watch our YouTube videos and watch Netflix, eating Snickers bars and eating popcorn, it's happening right now. So I would have 40, 50, 60-year-old men telling me about their sexual fantasies. Then they'd grab my leg and rub it against their you-know-what. So the questions are about R, about the ABORT word, HOMO, SODOMY, because, you know, children need to ask those questions. I'll definitely put a link to this article in the description box. An extract from one of L. Ron Hubbard's confessionals. Serge says he had to use as a child from technical bulletins of Dianetics and Scientology. Okay, back to the other guy that was talking. Or they touched me and I just had to remain calm and get them to sit back down. It wasn't seen as a big deal. It was normal, and we had done drills that played out these scenarios, so we would be familiar in expecting that to happen. You're telling me all of these older Scientologists that keep whining for apologies from the younger children of Scientology didn't know this is going on or participating themselves? If they weren't participating, they sure as hell knew what was going on. As well as conducting hours of interrogations, Serge says he was also subject to hours of them himself. He claims he remembers being locked in a bank vault and interrogated for hours as a young teen about his sexual thoughts. Sick. The thing about the Sea Org is that you're not allowed to have sex or do anything sexual unless you are married, he said. Unless you're groping little girls and little boys in the auditing room and other things. But it's human nature to have sexual feelings, and we're all stuck together in this place, closed off from the outside world. It was very common for adults to strike up sexual relationships with the minors. Wow. This has the Illuminati written all over it, to be honest. You know, the 13 bloodlines, those folks. Aleister Crowley, Satan, ism. And age isn't seen as a factor because L. Ron Hubbard didn't believe in it. Neither do the elite, do they? I remember my friend was 15 and she started a relationship with a 30-year-old guy, and I didn't think anything of it. Sick. We were young and we worked all day. It was only in hindsight I realized it wasn't normal whatsoever. Serge far left in 1993 after he had joined the Sea Org. Also, too, Reese talks about a relationship she had like that. Serge claims the abuse that plays heaviest on his mind is that which he says happened in the RPF, Scientology's internal prison program, designed as a punishment for anybody who violated rules. He was sent there after a group of students he was training in Scientology methods failed their exam, and he, as their supervisor, was blamed. He said the RPF is like a prison camp. You are locked away there, have no contact with the outside world. You have to run everywhere and do hard manual labor, such as construction work, without any proper precautions. We were placed in danger, demolishing walls, doing electrical without proper training for hours on end. It is utter hell. All my belongings were taken from me. I was given a black uniform, and there is an electric fence surrounding the property to stop you escaping. I was not allowed to call my parents. All my letters were open and read. I had zero privacy. Still going on as we speak. I was assigned her twin with a man who I knew had been sent there as a punishment for sexually molesting a 16-year-old girl when he was an ethics officer. For a year and a half, I was assigned to be his therapist and rid him of his evil purposes to be a pedophile. This meant that as a part of the therapy sessions, it was my job to get him to confess to me his explicit fantasies. He was able to touch me inappropriately. And I would be forced to shower with him and sleep in the same bunk beds with him. Imagine, this goes so deep. They specifically assigned him with a pedophile. So there's something more going on here. I don't exactly know what it is, but it's a special level of sick. Another man, also in the RPF, had me rub his body and touch his butt and pee as part of an assist process to help him while he was sick. This happened 3 times. That's why, like, sometimes I remember hearing some stories of some men that got really sick in the RPF. Now, I don't know each person, so it's not fair for me to say, you know, that the people that died so horrifically deserve it. But it does make you wonder, some of those people that got real sick in the RPF, if they were up to this kind of stuff. He had been sent to the RPF for having child porn on his computer. To make matters worse, a man who had abused me previously at Clearwater and made me give him blank blank, the prison warden there. He was the prison warden. Something else going on here, guys. Throughout all of this, I wasn't allowed to contact my parents or anybody. They were my darkest days. Poor Serge. Serge is hoping authorities will be able to obtain his personal files, which he says contains evidence of abuse. I bet you 10 to 1 they didn't even request them. He said when child abuse was reported, both the victim and perpetrator would be interrogated and blamed. They would put them through this program that was supposed to eradicate pedophilia because Scientology believes that they have a technology that eradicates that behavior, Serge said. I felt we were never met with compassion, and we were never met with the truth, which was we were victims of sexual abuse, and no adult had a right to be touching us or doing anything to us. Facts. As religious workers, we were being considered of the same rank and same responsibility as the adults. Clearwater Police Department confirmed this week that there was an open and active investigation into Serge's claims. Absolutely zero, nothing happened. I believe they later told Serge that the, I'm saying in quotation, statute of limitations ran out. It's always the canned answer everywhere. Something tells me even if we extend the statute of limitations, they're going to find another loophole. Serge's lawyer, Graham Barry, said Clearwater Police are investigating, and we are also investigating bringing civil litigation in Florida over this matter. They didn't help him. It's unfortunate. We got to keep it out here, and I'm very sorry for Serge and all the other people, the children that were abused so heinously. And I'm not going to shut my mouth until I take my last breath. And trust me, I ain't afraid to take my last breath because I've lived a righteous life. I'm a good human being. And I ain't scared. Wherever I go, I'm good. It's all these other perpetrators and sick devils, demons. They're the ones that need to worry about where the F they're going. I ain't worried. Peace.